Let me bring in my guest for this hour. Former federal prosecutor Joe Brewer is with me, and criminal defense attorney David Bruno, also a former prosecutor. And David, I'm going to begin with you. Today was largely a day regarding those financial crimes. We heard from a victim as well who was victimized by Alex Murdaugh. The defense is starting to push back a little bit, suggesting perhaps they're going a bit too far. Each time the judge is giving the admonition or the caution to the jury that this is not to be taken for character evidence. It's really evidence of motive. But at some point, as I'm listening to this, how effective is that for a jury? How is it not possible to continue to hear this information, it goes on and on seemingly, and not put that to character?
Yeah, this is the exact reason that this evidence is generally prohibited in these criminal trials. I mean, when prosecutors bring forth cases, we hope that the defendants are convicted on the evidence of the crime itself. And this prosecutor has used the Rule 404 of evidence to suggest that this goes to the motive. And I've had a problem like you with this from the very beginning. I believe that this may be an issue on appeal if convicted, because there's got to be this nexus that this man shot his son in the face with a shotgun and killed his wife because of these financial issues. And yes, the prosecutor has proven beyond any doubt that he is a fraud, that he's a liar, and that he is a thief. But they still have the great leap that he is going to do what he did to kill his son and wife because of all this. And I just have problems with it generally, and especially when you bring victims in front of the court and talking about very, very sympathetic victims that have been outed some of the money and settlement. That concerns me too, because it's starting to really get prejudicial if it wasn't to begin with.
Yeah, I agree. And Joe, you know, the defense, Dick Harpootlian, got up and made that exact argument to the judge, saying that, you know what, I get it. You're going to allow some of this financial evidence in. But with the victim, and we heard about his testimony, Tony Satterfield, by him taking the stand, that balancing test that the judge does with the probative value versus the prejudice, you have to sort of rejigger it when you're talking about a victim, especially one vulnerable like Tony Satterfield, young man, mother was the housekeeper for the family, and they're getting duped by this guy. I think he has to take another look at that balancing test. Your thoughts?
Mr. Harpootlian did a tremendous job. It was the right moment. He needed to, that was another hill to die on. He had a different sort of witness, really, for the first time, a more direct victim. The impact or the prejudice that Mr. Satterfield was going to, represent vis-a-vis Mr. Murdaugh of a different order of magnitude than all the prior evidence. And Mr. Harpootlian used the idiom gilding the lily, and I think that was I think he drew Judge Newman's attention to the right sort of things. It's a super close call. The theory is not a good one, but I think Judge Newman has done a tremendous job navigating this issue, and I think he cued in on two things. The proximity of these concerns, these financial concerns, to the underlying crime in this case, and secondarily, the size or the volume of this particular financial crime and how that might have played on Alex's mind at that time. And I'll just say, the last thing I'll sort of say, and I'll crib from an idea in employment law called mixed motive. The problem is, I suspect that Mr. Murdaugh at the time of this crime, whoever committed it, was a psychological mess from every corridor. And so it may not be as clean, the theory may not, or the actual cause of these murders may not be as clean as a straight line from a financial crisis to the murders, but it's very plausible that this is part of the psychological chemistry of Mr. Murdaugh at the time, and part of what animated these murders. And I think Judge Newman is doing a great job with the balancing, and Mr. Harpootlian's doing what he needs to do as well.
Yeah, and fair enough. I think at the end of the day, when we talk about possible appeals, judges articulating the reasons and having good reasons for why they're making the rulings they're making is really the key. And I agree. I think Judge Newman up to this point has been pretty clear about what he's letting in and why. There's a big issue coming up now with this roadside shooting, which I think takes you away from the proximity of the event and also the financial issues involving the event, which I don't think will be allowed in. But we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Guys, stand by because I do have to take a break. Folks, today's best...